Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Evelyn. So for today's video, we are going to be talking all about staple home decor pieces. I have gotten asked what I recommend purchasing first when you move into a new home, and I started to really think what items I use the most, what items are very versatile. So if I could only choose 10 home decor items, these would be it. I also wanted to provide some decorating ideas on how you can style these pieces, because we tend to get bored or get stuck on styling a certain item the exact same way. So I wanted to provide some ideas on how I have styled these items throughout my home. I hope this video is very informative, that you get lots of ideas, and hopefully inspires you to think outside the box and style what you own a different way. I'm also going to be sharing a little sneak peek of a room that I am working on. So let me know down below in the comments if you notice anything new. I'm very curious if you guys can spot it. So without further ado, if you want to see my top 10 home decor items, then just keep on watching. So the very first staple home decor item that I use all the time are coffee table books, and I have been collecting mine for over 4 years now. So I have built quite a collection. I always get asked where I purchased them, and a lot of them are from HomeGoods or Amazon. I have found that they have the best prices. Now my favorite way to style coffee table books is leaning them. I have done this ever since I started my YouTube channel almost 2 years ago, and I feel like it has become my signature look. You guys know that I'm always leaning them on vases, on lamps. I've done it on my shelves, and I feel like it gives your space a very lived in feel, kind of as if you grabbed the book, you read it, and you put it back. So it's my absolute favorite way in styling books. The very next way is on a bench or a stool. Both of these are places where you wouldn't think to place a book, and I always use them as a layering piece to then style a vase on top. Again, I love the way it looks. Books are just such a great way to add a layer to your decor. And another way is styling it opened. You can style it on a coffee table. I've done it on a bed. I've also even done it on a console table, which is not very common, but again, it gives your space a very lived in feel, as if you were reading a book. It's just, I don't know what it is, it makes your space feel very cozy, so I love the way it looks. Now the most common way that we see coffee table books being styled is as a tray. This instantly makes your decor piece feel very intentional, meaningful. It adds height to it. If you find that your piece is kind of lacking in something and it looks a little awkward or like it doesn't fit in that space, just place it on a book. Trust me, it's going to instantly elevate that decor piece. Again, it's going to make it feel very intentional. It kind of acts as a tray, so we see this a lot in the decor world. Next is more for cookbooks, but you can also display your books. I have done this in my kitchen. I used 2 cookbooks just for filler and for aesthetic purposes. I never opened these cookbooks, although I should. I feel like the recipes are probably really good, but I use them just for decor. I also just display them on a cookbook stand. I feel like they look very pretty. They kind of look like you were cooking and following a recipe, so it's one of my favorite ways in styling them in a kitchen. Another decor item that is definitely a must are vases. I have also collected quite a few. You honestly can never have too many vases. I use them all the time, and the most common way in styling them are with stems, and believe it or not, a vase has a lot to do with how your stems look. If you use a lighter color stems, I would use a darker vase, and vice versa. Give it a try. If your stems aren't looking that great, try switching it to a different vase. You can also use vases as utensil crocks. I have done this before, and it's such a great way to reuse something that you already had, and I would use a smaller vase. That way your utensils can kind of stick out a little bit and it doesn't look awkward. Next up is styling it on a bench or a stool. Once again, like the books, it adds another layering piece, and it gives you the opportunity to add a stem and add some greenery to that piece. Next up is staggering them. I have done this with 2 different size vases, so you use one bigger one and then you stagger it with a smaller one, and you see a lot of designers do this. I have done this on my shelves, on my dining table, and also my kitchen, so it's a great way to use your decor and style it a different way. Last but not least, a great way to use your vases are as a planter. I did this for Christmas to switch out the vase for a little Christmas tree. It definitely elevated the tree and made it look a lot more high-end. So if you have a plant and you don't like the vase that it came in, then you can definitely use a vase to make it feel a little bit more elevated. Next we have candles, and I don't just mean candles that are in a jar, I mean pillar candles. There are candlesticks and of course the typical candles in a jar. So the very first way is styling them staggered. This kind of imitates the look of the vases that we talked about earlier. It adds different heights and you don't really expect it. It's such a great way to add some visual interest. Another way to style them is just placing them on a book. I do this when I don't know what to put on a book, so I just place a candle, I light it up, and it adds so much coziness. You can also place them on a tray. I have done this multiple times on multiple different trays. Again, it makes that item just feel very intentional, so your candle is going to look elevated, and I like to style it with a candle snuffer or a match cloche. That way it all flows together. Last but not least, the obvious way to style candles is on a candle holder. I have this one from Hobby Lobby and I love the vintage feel to it. I also have faux candlesticks if you don't want to cause a fire hazard and you want to style them on your built-ins or under some stems. You can definitely use those. Another decor piece are bowls, and I've come to realize I don't have many bowls, but there are so many. There are wood bowls, ceramic, paper mache, there's even travertine, so you have a lot to choose from. So the very first way is simply just styling it on its own. I've done this on my bookshelves kind of as a filler piece. I've also styled it this way on a nightstand. You don't necessarily have to add anything to it or style it on top of something. It looks beautiful just on its own. Another way you can style a bowl is with bowl filler. I don't typically do this, but I did do it for Christmas. I added some pine cones. Whenever I style a bowl like this, I like to style that same item outside of the bowl. That way it kind of looks like it fell out of the bowl and gives it that lived-in feel that I'm really trying to go for in my home. You can also style a bowl with fruit. I added pears last spring, and again I added them outside of the bowl to give it that lived-in feel. Last but not least, and my current favorite way to style bowls is stacking them. I love the way it looks. I recently did this on my built-in shelves and I couldn't be happier with them. I don't see myself styling these bowls any other way now because I just am obsessed with how it looks. The next item that I'm sure many of us have are stems, especially faux stems. They just add so much life to a room and I love styling with them. And the first way to style them is the most obvious one, which is a vase. It kind of goes hand in hand with styling vases. They are such an easy way to add some greenery, to add life to a room. You can also style them on a gathering basket. I did this with real baby breath stems and it was its own little moment. I love how dainty and just very spring it looked, and you don't necessarily have to do it with just baby breath stems. You can do it with any stems that you have. The next way has kind of become my favorite. I've done it twice already and I have made a tree with stems that I've already had. I did one for my guest bedroom. I wanted a sparse tree, so I used these sparse stems from Amazon and I just attached them and it gave me a very unique and creative tree. I love it so much. I also did a DIY black olive tree with stems from Amazon. The entire thing cost me less than $50 and it's the tree that is always behind me in my intros. I always get asked where it's from and and I actually made it with stems that I had. So if you have stems that you no longer need for a vase, try making a tree with it. It's going to give your stems a new life, and it might give your space a nice little refresh. Next up, we have art, or also frames. The first way that I style them is stacked, so I add a smaller frame and then I add a longer or horizontal frame on the bottom. I love the difference in shape. I always make sure to do a different material. It just adds so much visual interest to a blank wall. You can also style art on an easel. This is probably the easiest way to style art. It takes up space on a table and it kind of displays your art, and you don't need an expensive easel. I do have one from McGee & Co that I got on sale for around $15 or $16, and for the longest time I used one from Dollar Tree, so it was just $1 and they both look just as beautiful. Another way is to create a gallery wall. A lot of people stray away from using family pictures, but if you can figure out how to style them in an aesthetic way, I highly encourage it. It's going to make your space feel like home. Now, my most favorite way in styling art is just leaning it. I lean it on my bookshelves, on my console table, in my kitchen. You can lean it honestly anywhere. It's going to add a height to your space. It's going to add kind of like a filler piece between two decor items. I highly recommend doing this. You can even layer them, so you can add a larger art piece and then layer a smaller one in front of it. A recent way that I styled art was over a bed. We see this a lot in designer spaces, and it's just a nice way to draw your eye up. It adds height to your space, so I love that I was able to do that in my guest bedroom. Another must-have decor item is trays. I have so many trays, and a great way to style trays is to ground kitchen items, especially if you don't have your dream countertops. If your countertops are busy like mine are, everything that I put on top of them just was not standing out. It kind of blended in. It looked very busy, so I noticed that using trays was my best friend. It helped ground all my kitchen decor. It made it look very intentional, and it made it stand out, which was very important for me. I did this with a few decor items. I do this for my soap dispenser, or even my salt and pepper grinders and my oil dispenser. You can ground so many kitchen items using a tray. Believe it or not, you can also style a tray on its own. You can just place it on a book, and it's going to act as a decor piece, as a statement piece. It doesn't necessarily have to have anything on top of it. I think it looks beautiful just like that. The most popular way in using trays is with a candle or a match cloche. Going back to styling candles, it's going to make it look very intentional. It's going to elevate the candle. You can also add a few other decor items. Trays can be used so many ways, but these are the ways that I have styled them in my home. Another home decor item that I'm always reaching for are candle holders. I love styling with them, and I like to have a variety of them, so I don't just have the same size or the same style of candle holders. So the first way is styling them on top of a book. It's a classic. It acts as a decor piece, and I don't typically add any candlesticks when I style them on a book. You can also just style them on their own. I typically do this only when the candlestick holder has enough height to take up that room. If you have candle holders that are on the smaller side, then I would probably skip out on styling them on their own, since they won't add height to that space. Another way is to, of course, style it with a candle. It's a classic, and you don't necessarily just have to do it on a candle holder. You can also do it on some sconces that are candle holders. They have become very popular lately, and I love how it looks, so that's also a great way on styling them with a candle. Last but not least, you can create a tablescape with candlestick holders. I have done this for Christmas multiple times. It's such a classic. It adds height, it adds coziness. It's such a beautiful way to display candlestick holders. Next up, we have baskets, and baskets I feel like are one of those items where we get stuck on styling it the exact same way every time. For example, a very popular way is styling them in a set of 2. I have done this on my shelves. I leave them alone. I use them mainly for storage, which is what baskets are typically for. I also used to have some under a console table. It's a very easy way to style baskets and the most common way, but you can also style them with stems. I do have a hanging basket in my daughter's room, and it gave me the opportunity to add some baby breath stems and give that space a little bit of life. You can also even add them to a regular basket, just have them pouring out, and it's going to look like a gathering basket. It's going to be very unique. I don't typically see this. Another common way in styling a basket is adding a throw blanket. You can add it to a corner or next to an accent chair. We see this styled so many different times by designers, creators. It's a very typical way to style a basket, and I have done it multiple times as well. I love the coziness it adds. It might even invite your guests to take it and cozy up in the blanket. The last way to style a basket is adding some books, some magazines that you have. I have never seen this before, but I really like how it looks. I like that I'm displaying my books. And the last item that I highly recommend purchasing when you are moving into a new home or you're just starting off with home decor is throw blankets. Throw blankets make your space feel so cozy. Style it on a sofa, just throw it on over the armrest and add your pillows. You can also style it on an accent chair, kind of similar to your sofa. Throw it over the armchair, add a pillow. It's instantly going to make your space feel very cozy. The next way is one that we just talked about, and it's adding a throw blanket to a basket. Again, it's going to add coziness. Style it next to a chair, next to your sofa, or even in a random corner. It's just going to make that space feel so warm and inviting. You can also style it on a bench if you don't know what to put on the other side of where you styled the book and the vase and you want to add another layer. You can add a blanket and make sure it's a thin blanket. That way it doesn't look very bulky on the bench. Last but not least, you can style it on ottomans. You guys know I always do this. It also has become kind of like my signature look, and I always style this blanket that I got from Amazon. It adds another texture, it adds color, and again, coziness. That concludes today's video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. My goal for this video was for it to be very informative. I wanted you guys to learn how to style things a different way. I know we can get bored or stuck on thinking that you can only style an item a certain way that we have seen others style it. So I hope this encourages you or gives you some new ideas on how you can style an item that you already own a different way. Give it a new life, a new spot in your home, and who knows, maybe you can give your space a nice little refresh with things that you already own. Let me know down below in the comments if you enjoyed it or if you would like a part 2 with more home decor items. I would love to know. Anyways, I appreciate all of you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.